Refund. Test, test. All right, now we're getting audio.
Taxes on your pension too, which some people don't.
So remember, things are going to be
Well, I
recorded
pay
from now
federal
on.
taxes. What?
Things are going to be recorded
Oh,
from now
sorry.
on. So you might not want to talk about that type of stuff.
All right, Saturday, February 16th, 2019. Saturday Q&A meeting. Let's see how this is working. And let me find my iPad. Make sure the stream is working. All right, and we are temporarily hosted this week at Steve and Shirley's house. And Soundbites is done, so we'll go to Apple Cider is live. So we're live and we're recording. And how's our volume? We'll go to see if this is working. Are you streaming? Apple Cider is live. Okay, so it looks like and we're recording. Looks like that's working. Good. So I think we might be up and running. And only 20 minutes late, which is pretty good. All right, first thing I wanted to show is there was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal, and let me feed it into the right stream. Actually, no, we'll not. Joanna Stern is a well-known tech columnist, and she, in essence, hired a white hat ethical hacker to see if he could break into her stuff. And she was a little surprised about how easy it was for him to get in, and a little happy about the built-in safeguards built into the OS that helps prevent this from happening as well. Let me see if we're going to get an ad or if it's just going to start. One of the things that she that's a 6-minute, that she started out with is she had put an ad online for a video producer. And yes, it's an ad. We'll wait for a minute for the ad to go by. And so he used that as an inroad into her systems by sending a demo reel to her. And I think that's where she starts talking about this. There we are.
And I'm in. People are pretty bored. You can see what they're up to. Usually not up to much. And I should probably let her know that I'm able to see her.
Well, that's really unsettling.
Got into her laptop and turned on her webcam.
Yeah, I'm in on all this. Let me explain. I asked Alexander Hyde, the Chief Research Officer at Security Scorecard, and a certified ethical hacker, to break into my webcams to see just how vulnerable I was. With some deliberate negligence on my part, he got into my Windows 10 laptop's webcam, and from there, a connected baby monitor on my home Wi-Fi network. He also eventually cracked my MacBook Air, too, although both operating systems were initially able to thwart the hacker. Why in the world would I ask someone to spy on me? Honest answer, because I've been seeing lots of these webcam covers, and I wanted to know if they were really needed. We've put cameras everywhere, so how secure are they? And what can we be doing to better protect our literal privacy? Alex was able to get into my Windows laptop's webcam by spear phishing. That's when a hacker poses as someone you may know and entices you to open documents or links. I made his job easier by posting on Twitter recently that I was looking to hire a new video producer. Alex, Rudiger Watkins, sent me an email with a resume and a link to a video reel. Those, of course, contained malware, and I needed to download both for the hack to work. I was a very willing participant in this hack. And for the purposes of this exercise, I did what you should never do. I disabled antivirus, ignored plenty of warnings from Gmail, Windows, and Microsoft Office. Once the malware was in place, it was just a few steps on his end to get into my webcam, and possibly worse, lots of data stored on my laptop.
When you have this level of access, essentially anything that's on that network is accessible in the same ways.
On Windows, he was able to snap a photo every few seconds and even listen in over the mic. Yes, that's my son crying in the background. Microsoft says it patched this vulnerability in 2017. That's why Alex needed both files to carry out the hack, and why its built-in Windows Defender issued multiple warnings. Getting into Mac was a different process. He sent a document that required LibreOffice to be installed. Yet again, I ignored the warnings. I had to override protections to download the app, change some security settings in the app itself, and even give the program access to my camera. Not exactly a covert operation. Eventually, he did get in and snapped a few photos. An Apple spokesperson said the following.
Yeah.
Apple has built security features into macOS to protect users from mistakenly downloading unsafe software. We recommend downloading software only from the Mac App Store or trusted members of the Apple Developer Program, and never opening files from unknown or untrusted sources. With both the Mac and the HP laptops, the webcam lights turned on. I asked Alex to go one step further, to see if we can get into this WAN's View IP baby monitor I set up on my home network. Because he was already in the laptop and could see the network activity, he could see the IP address for the webcam. Then, since I hadn't changed the admin password on the camera, because the app didn't prompt me to, he was able to pull up a live view of my son's playroom. A WAN's View representative said the setup process requires default settings for technical reasons, and stressed the importance of changing the password later. He wasn't able to get into my Nest camera because he didn't have my username and password. I met up with Alex, and he walked me through how he did all this using off-the-shelf hacking tools. With more time and resources, however, he said he could have more craftily tricked me into falling for his attack. He also told me hackers are generally interested in finding something more valuable than a view of you at your computer.
There has to be real motivation on the hacker's part. Oftentimes a hacker is seeking to make money or monetize some type of resource that's been obtained during the breach. If someone's specifically just seeking access to a webcam, chances are there's another motive there.
All this hacking wasn't in vain. I quickly learned 4 things I needed to do to mitigate the risk of someone with actual evil intents peering into my home and life. Number 1, if you have a Windows PC, antivirus is still a must. Windows 10's built-in Live Defender issued a warning and prevented me from downloading the malicious file, or video. On a Mac, install Malwarebytes or other malware-fighting software. On both a Mac and PC, make sure your operating system is up to date. The same goes for your smartphone, home cameras, and Wi-Fi router.
Attackers will often embark in a sophisticated social engineering ruse to tell the user how to disable these protections in order to have the attack work.
Number 2, think before you click on links or attachments.
That's probably the
including
biggest
emails,
one.
Texts, and social media posts that even just seem the slightest bit off. Plus, pay attention to those warnings that appear in your email or web browser after you click something malicious. Number 3, no matter what the device, always change the admin password. And for the love of everything, don't repeat passwords. Don't believe me? Alex had access to a public database with millions of usernames and passwords from previous breaches.
See what we got? Is that you?
I'm not going to confirm or deny.
Alright, but you shouldn't be using those anymore if you are.
I think the video
Number
froze.
4,
Yeah.
cover that webcam. I bought this $9 pack on Amazon, but a Post-it or a piece of tape will do the trick. What are the chances of someone wanting to watch you and your not exactly thrilling life? I'd rather not find out.
I still see you.
Now, what's the one of the bad things about covering your camera is it doesn't stop the microphone, so they could still listen. But the fact that she had to intentionally disable most of the security options, both in Mac and Windows, is a good thing. But we are seeing more and more fake tech support will be trickier and more convincing to to make you think what they're doing is real. And they say, well, we want remote access. We'll fix your computer. Oh, you need to click on this link, and when the software downloads, give it your password. And so it's really getting harder and harder with social engineering for average people to protect themselves. So it's nice that the light comes on when your camera starts, but a lot of people don't pay attention to that. So covering your camera is one thing. You could cover the microphone opening, but that'll just muffle it rather than.
Well, you can turn down the input.
Yeah, you can turn your input to 0. So if you go into System Preferences, and then into, wants me to do the update, and then into Sound, and then into Input, you can. So right now, because I'm using the microphone, we can see that the mic is running, and I'm getting an input level. You can lower the input level to 0. And so even if there is no, even if there is audio happening, the microphone won't hear it because the input level is set to 0. You can also, which is a little trickier, you can make a fake input device. There's a program called Soundflower that allows me to mix my inputs so that I can, for example, I can grab the audio from iTunes and the audio from the microphone and mix them together and feed them into YouTube, which we've had to do for a few CIDER meetings. But by creating a fake audio input from a program that isn't running, then you also get no audio. But for most people, it's probably easier just to lower your input volume to 0, and then put a piece of tape over your camera just to be safe. But as they said, make sure you keep the latest updates. Apple has done a lot in the security options to try to minimize rogue software. So by default, you're only allowed to install apps that are downloaded from the App Store and identified developers. But there is a bypass for this, and which she had to note when she was installing LibreOffice. Apparently, they don't want to pay the developer fee to become an Apple developer and get a developer number. But as one of our news stories on Soundbites today showed, malicious people are grabbing enterprise developer IDs and injecting that ID into their malicious software. So you think it's a legitimate program, and it passes all the security, but it is a malicious program. And so we're getting more and more issues with people accidentally installing software. And fake phone calls are getting to be real common now. And they are faking call ID, either to make you think it's a neighbor, so it'll be the right area code, even the right exchange, to make you more likely to pick up the phone. Or we've been at the office, it's really ironic. At the office, we've been getting phone calls from Apple saying that there's a problem with our computer, and they're faking the real Apple tech support number.
Wow.
And so you think, if you don't pay attention, even if that you think it's really Apple because it's the real Apple phone number. And so it's illegal to spoof caller ID, but they're already doing something illegal, so they don't care. They just add another charge. And a couple of months ago, Microsoft had identified a bunch of fake tech support call centers in India. And the police raided a couple of dozen call centers and arrested several dozen people and captured some of the scripts they use to trick people into showing up for and giving them access. But what was a little ironic and what we often say is when they arrest a bunch of people, there's a momentary pause, but then there's a surge of more junk afterward. And so it was like a week after all those arrests that the phone scams got really more frequent.
We were talking about cameras. The other easier thing to do is to take a piece of cardboard and make it kind of like a U, and you can just hang it over your laptop or whatever.
Yeah, so if you use your camera frequently, peeling tape on and off is bad. In fact, tape will leave a sticky residue
That's right.
on the lens. So, you know,
Over the door
yeah. There was even an interesting. I wonder if I can find it again. There was a little thing that would re-aim the camera. So instead of the camera pointing at you, it was a series of mirrors, so it would point the other way. So you can use that to take pictures of the other person. Yeah, see, these are all apps to do screen mirroring, see yourself. Is that it? Webcam cover with mirror? So a lot of people like putting a mirror facing behind them so they can see someone coming into the office behind them. That's yeah. Or just
Otherwise you go,
Because
rearrange the desk so
I
you,
had my back to the door, so
yeah.
I had one of those big contact mirrors.
Yep. And a lot of people try to arrange their office so their back isn't to the door because of that. Why is Amazon taking so long? Interesting. And oh, my stream died. Is the internet choking? Yeah, I'm getting weak internet. We'll see here if we can keep going. Yeah. Open, close. So what's the mirror mean? Chosen by Whoopi. So I don't know why that means it has a mirror.
Chosen by Whoopi.
Yeah, it was one of her things.
Whoopi Goldberg, that's my tech hero.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a little tiny mirror on the cover, so you can put your lipstick on. So that's not what I was looking for. Yeah.